Hello everyone, I am back yet again. Finals were shitty. Anyway, I am here, as you may have read in the title. I'm going to redo Reactive Armor, as I believe I did a shitty job of it, and I want to make all of you proud. Now, the thing I was wanting to do was obviously different. But let's just get into it with a few minor words. I know that I have not uploaded in a while, but I hope you'll stay around a little bit longer in case I do go AFK for another few days. But that will be the most since I'm hyped to get back into this. And by the way, as you may have told from the recent days, I do read all of your comments and make sure to heart them all. So, why don't you try to break a record, huh? Anyway, let's hop right into this. This what if starts, as most of mine do. Izuku's birth. There are a few minor changes I have made, as Hikashi's, I believe. Izuku's father's lineage is a bit different. His family line, they have fire breathing, but their fire is more solid, almost as if it was liquid fire. That's about it. On Inko's side, everything stays the same. Obviously, in this, Izuku's hair more matches his father's in that reddish-brown look. Izuku is born, a happy little toddler, no hair. I have figured out kids are not born with hair. Stupid thing for me to think, but come on. Anyway. He grows up much like he did in the anime, with no quirk, and when he goes to the quirk doctor, he finds out as much. And being sad. Oh, wait, no, not just like the anime. I will like to change that statement. He grew up with his father not gone for his entire childhood. His father was there almost weekly, but very rarely would he be there for more than like a day a week. But through these days, he was with Izuku, and Izuku learns some stuff from his father. That is why he is a little different in this than in canon. I hope you all don't mind. Izuku, like I was saying earlier, goes to the quirk doctor with his mother, his father being out on work for a few more days. When they get there, a quirk doctor, studies Izuku and finds out Izuku does not have a quirk and cannot, as he sits Izuku and Inko down in chairs, looking at them blankly as he says, "I'm sorry to announce that your son will not have a quirk," as he points towards basically an X-ray photo on the wall that shows a foot. "You see this bone here?" as he points towards the pinky toe. "It has two segments, or two joints. That means that he cannot be a hero. He does not have the quirk gene. When someone has a quirk gene, much like yourself, Inko, they only have one joint in their pinky toe. Maybe some sort of it might have been one step in evolving to make us run faster. Who knows? But we have found out in almost all, if not all, of these quirked human beings have only one joint on their pinky toe." Izuku is speechless as he's just looking down in pain as he very quietly starts to cry. He stands up as his mother and the doctor start to talk, as the doctor's asking Inko a few questions about his father, about her parents. Izuku just says, "I'm going to the car," as he walks out the door, walking down the hall, getting outside, but right before he opens the door, he hears a man from behind him. "Oh, you look so sad," a man with a deep voice says behind him. He turns around quickly and, well, honestly, fright. Most people don't just do that to strangers, as he looks up and up and up at this massive man in a black suit with an odd mask. Well, more or less we'll say a mask. As there are tubes leading from the mask into his flesh, Izuku is very scared as he looks up and says, "What?" The man seems to quirk a smile as he says, "You would be fun to torture." "Ooh, I know," as he gets down to one knee and says, "I'll give you a destiny. You're going to find me one day and try to kill me, but we'll see if you can beat the bastard himself, my brother," as he taps onto Izuku's forehead and implants 3 quirks. He implants a stone armoring quirk, which will erupt stone around Izuku's skin. Then he puts a spectacularly hot magma quirk. And last but not least, he puts another one that we will not mention until it unlocks, of course. Then he implants a sort of knowledge into Izuku's mind. He will always know his purpose is to kill the man known as All for One, and that he will not allow anyone else to do it for him. Then, All for One taps his head and makes him forget all for a few seconds until he comes back, only remembering he now has a quirk as he runs into the building, forgetting the man behind him, as the man begins to laugh. Izuku bursts into the door with the quirk doctor and says, "Sorry to interrupt, but I think I have a quirk." The doctor is looking at him with like a quirked eyebrow. Sorry. Izuku tries to look at his hand as he imagines stone enveloping his hand. It does. But there's something odd about it. The stone is radiating heat, and he feels it from within. As the doctor's eyes open wide as he steps up and rushes forward as he takes Izuku's hand in his, looking at it as he's starting to study it. He presses on this stone as it cracks, even from the slightest pressure, and magma shoots forth, almost burning the doctor's hand before he pulls it away. The magma falls to the ground as it cools midair. The fire and magma stop, as there was fire there as well. It's very odd how Izuku's flesh is not burning. The doctor is amazed as he says, "This is near impossible. Come with me, young one." And he stands up as he grabs Izuku by, his arm, the non-covered stone one, as he brings him into the testing room again and says, "Miss Inko, please wait here. I think he might have a quirk," as she's excited for her boy. The tests start off simple, with them trying to make him manifest this stone. He does only in a few bits of himself, and then they start cracking it open as magma and fire spills out. They are able to make it so he can dial down the heat of his fire and magma, or just to shoot out one or the other, as he just shoots out fire, or just to leak out some magma. They study it as they chat. One of them drops a cup on accident and it lands on Izuku's toe, as his quirk erupts, destroying his shoe and sock as the glass explodes and shoots upwards, sticking into the ceiling in 1,000 little bits. none of it falling. It was hit with so much force, almost double its falling, that it was all lodged into the ceiling as hot coffee starts to drip down. Izuku is amazed by the strength of this quirk. Well, so isn't everyone else. In a mere 5 minutes, Izuku is back with his mother as he is just staring at his hand still covered in the magmous rock. He's just so happy he's not talking anymore. He doesn't need to anymore, he thinks. He's so excited to become... He's excited to become a hero with this ability. While his mother and the doctor are talking, something interrupts his thought. This seems dangerous. He almost burned the doctor. He looks up in almost fear as he says, "Will there be a way for me to fully control this? Because that seems really dangerous." As he says this, a crack opens in his armor without him thinking of it, as magma spills out and drops onto his clothes, which should have set him on fire. But as soon as it touched material at all, it turned into stone and cooled down, still sticking to his clothing and making it hard to pull off. But the doctor looks at him curiously as he says, "I'm pretty sure that your quirk works like... Okay, so the quirk that we have seen in your boy is what we think to be a few quirks sort of combined. It's odd. We're calling it reactive armor. He armors his flesh with the stone, as you have seen, and within a layer between his stone and his flesh, there seems to be magma leaking from his pores. Where this magma is stored, we're not quite sure. We'll need to go through a few more tests and x-rays. But we're pretty sure that he seems to be turning matter into magma and stone. Now this is extremely complicated, as it seems to be using his carbs. Everyone notes from his stomach rumbling exactly at the moment of him saying that. So while he summons this armor and has this layer of magma and fire, if he cracks this armor, or anyone else does, it will spill forth magma and fire, doing just as much force, if not double, of what hit it. It seems that he can control it. Maybe he will eventually learn to have it not even crack. But of course, that is the future. None of us can tell the future. It seems promising, though. Very promising. Inko seems interested as she says, "That's a little like his father's with the fire, but he doesn't breathe fire, and he definitely doesn't have telekinesis, so how?" The doctor looks up and says, "Oh, yes, we were curious about that as well. It seems to me that it at least seems to me that he has a mutation, a major one at that. Very different from you and his father, most definitely. And you are sure that Hikashi is his father?" Inko seems immediately pissed, but doesn't say anything, as she just nods her head. A few more questions go by, but the quirk is explained as much as they know, so Inko and Izuku head home. And in this, Inko's mother was a very great hero with immense power. Sort of weird that Inko only has a little. So Inko has connections, as she calls one of her mother's hero friends for help. The man picks up and says, "Oh, Inko." No, that's not his voice. "Oh, Inko. How can I help you?" She asks him, or tells him that her son now has a quirk, and asks him very politely if he could check it out and see if he might be able to train him, For a favor, of course. Oh, I'll do my best. We'll see. As she puts the phone away and calms down a bit, knowing that he'll be in good hands. The person on the other side of the phone, and I didn't mean to say his voice, by the way, that just sort of slipped out, it's actually her voice. What is it? Whatever. A few days later, they get a knock on the door as a old lady walks in, very short, and she says, "Oh, Inko, it's been too long." As they quickly hug, she points towards her son and says, do you think you could check out his quirk? The doctor called it reactive armor, and she fills her in, and she says, "Ooh, I think I have just the perfect person to teach him." Oh? They talk for a bit, and then Izuku gets wished away to a school. This is a high school known as to UA High School, where he is met by a grumpy man with a scarf around his neck and dressed in all black, as he looks at Inko, then Izuku, and says, "Oh, this is the one I'm supposed to teach." Izuku's like very excited that he finally will have a quirk and someone that can help him learn how to use it. The day before, he had said bye to everyone in his middle school as they were officially moving. Inko nods her head and says, "Inko Midoriya," as she holds out her hand, as Izuku does the same, saying, "Izuku Midoriya." He shakes both of their hands and nods his head and says, "Meet me out behind the apartment building we have meet me out behind your cabin that we have constructed for you," as he hands her a map, "in, let's say, 40 minutes. For now, get a good look at the campus, or at least what he'll be using for the meantime," and starts walking away. They do so, as Inko brings Izuku to their cabin, and they start unpacking, as it's a nice, comfortable log cabin, and you're like, why didn't they make it a stone? It would have been so much easier since they have a person that can literally manipulate concrete, because this is going to be permanent. They're not just going to destroy this later. So they put some time into it. As they settle in, about 20-ish, 30 minutes go by. As they finish unpacking, they hear a knock on the door as a small man thing, known as the principal, walks in. As it is a rat person with adorable little round ears, the whole works, a suit, and a weird scar across his eye. He looks up and says, "Oh, hello. You must be Izuku Midoriya. It is very good to see you. I hope you will enjoy your stay here until high school, and in high school you will very likely participate in this school. We are all looking forward to your participation." As Izuku hops up and down from excitement, the rat seems very happy, as Izuku says, I am excited as well." The principal just nods his head and laughs as he says, "Sorry, I am looking something up because I want..." Okay. As he holds out his very paw-like hand, Izuku shakes it and he says, "It's rude of me to ask for your name without telling you my own. I am Nezu, the principal." No, that is not what I was searching up. Plot reasons. Um, Inko looks at her watch as she says, "Oh, very nice to meet you, Nezu, but me and Izuku have a meeting with Aizawa." "Oh, yes. May I watch? I'm very interested by his quirk." They all agree as they walk out behind the cabin where there's a nice little training yard set up. The whole works. A running area, the track, I mean. Basically the same as in the anime with all that stuff, but personalized. As Aizawa, looks towards Izuku and says, "Alright, alright, I've been briefed on your quirk. Let's just see how you activate it." Izuku looks a bit shy as his skin turns to rock as it starts to cover his clothing. But instead of covering his sleeves, no, it doesn't cover his clothing at all, it's under his clothing. It covers his right arms and stuff as you start to hear the cloth burn, but it very quickly stops as magma doesn't take long to burn anything into nothing. As he has basically the same look as he does in this image, but only like 10 maybe. Aizawa nods his head and says, very good. It is over your whole body, correct?" Izuku shakes his head as it's only on part of his face, neck, and arms. Difficult. Guess I'll have to teach you that as well. Well, how does it work exactly? I've had a briefing on it. As he just whips out his scarf as it wraps around the top of Izuku's arm, not to hit the fire, and slams it into the ground as an explosion sounds. Not too loud. The ground breaks as some magma spills over it. And, Inko seems very worried as she says, "What are you—" And Aizawa cuts her off as saying, "I'm testing. Teaching, that is what I do. If you were going to be his mother the whole time, please leave. Nezu can show you all the lounges that you can sit around in." He seems not to have very good patience right now. Inko seems affronted until Izuku grabs her hand in his non-flaming one and says, "It's okay, I'll be fine." As Inko leaves and goes on her way talking to Nezu about all the programs, he trains. He trains hard. The first thing they do in training is teaching him how to get it all over his body, under his clothes, so that his clothes aren't instantly burned, and how to dial it down so that it doesn't burn everything. To only have his magma and fire around his head, his arms, and legs so that he doesn't burn everything he's wearing. Just the stone around his chest, upper legs, and like thighs and shins. This takes months and years, and over time he teaches him tricks that he thought he could do, and Izuku finds a few of his own. And for that, I need to actually check the time that I've been recording. I do not believe I'm ending it now, but I need to make sure. How long is this? Can't play this file, isn't playable. That might be because the file type is unsupported. Huh. Anyway, I most likely will leave it off here, but if you hear me talking in another few seconds, I didn't. Be right back. Okay, crisis averted. Anyway, we will just get back into things. As years go by, Izuku... We're not going to have a lot of stuff, but Izuku was out shopping for his mother, as he took a second to go look at his old middle school, or at his old school that he was in for maybe a year. Yeah, he wasn't in his middle school for long before he left. I will say they didn't move to the UA immediately. They moved after a few years, so that's why I said when he was 10 instead of when he was 6. Anyway. As Izuku feels some emotions, he nonetheless moves on as he goes past and goes through one of his old shortcuts he used to love. As he is interrupted, he takes a step over a crate as he hears rattling. He jumps forward as his shoes explode and his reactive armor shoots him forward faster than the slime villain trying to grab him can react. The leftover fire and magma gets sunken into the slime thing as he starts to heat up and boil. Not fun, as he starts to scream and ejects the magma like a fucking rocket. Izuku turns around, spinning on his heels, as he looks towards the villain attacking him. It is this massive, horrifying sludge villain as it looks at him with a smile and says, "Oh, you will be a good host. Come here, meatbag," as he dashes forward. Zuko covers his chest in normal armor as the rest is blazing hot reactive armor. He slams his fist into the ground, launching himself upwards as he spins in the air like a beautiful ballerina, and he falls head first towards the sledge villain with a smile on his face. Now, the different thing about him is over time, over through the pain Aizawa has caused him, he has gotten sort of a love for fighting, we can say. The thrill of the fight is one that he is addicted to. As he flies towards the villain with very good speed, he's smiling, as this has been a few years after he started training with Aizawa. He is ready to fight, ready to duke it out, to go to the last breath, as he throws one punch with his reactive armor as it lands in the villain and explodes as his entire right arm's armor cracks and explodes outwards as the villain mostly erupts and flies, flinging onto the wall and ceiling of this bridge. Izuku lands, rolling, jump, because he would have fallen into the sewer, skids, turns around, spinning, dragging his heels across the ground as he's facing the villain again that is now about a quarter of its original height and mass. Izuku is smiling with just pure glee as he says, "You don't want to die too fast, do you?" No, not die. He seems to correct himself as he says, "You don't want to lose too easy, do you?" And he shakes himself a bit as he got back into the habit of saying the word die, which he never means it. Not at least he doesn't mean it, but he looks up with just the glee as he says, "Whatever. You ready to fight? I'm not sure if you'll come out of this in one piece," as he looks around the wall. "Oh, too late." And he dashes forward as he's right about to punch the villain with his reactive armor. All Might jumps out of the crate in between them as he grabs Izuku's forehead and swings him around, throwing him randomly, just not to hit the villain as he does not want the villain to die. Because Izuku isn't only splattering him. A lot of the splatters have been evaporated and turned into gas, which he can't reform gas. As Izuku lands in a bush, his armor going off instantly so he doesn't burn the bush, he grunts as he stands up, and yes, All Might has seen and trained him before, but not very much. "Oh, you need to be more careful next time. That hurt." "Oh, All Might. Yes, self-defense," he says almost instantly, as All Might just, in basically a shitty move, punches the villain out, splattering him more, but collecting him in a bottle as he talks. "Zuko, how many times have I told you not to use your quirk on villains like this? It will kill them. And we don't kill. That is illegal." Zuko's like, "Self-defense. It's self-defense to use your quirk and run. But self-defense and killing the other can be excusable in some situations, but you could have easily escaped. Izuku's head lolls as he says, "Yeah, I know." All Might says, "Don't give me an apology. Just do better." As he then puts the smirk back on his face and says, "But you did do a mighty fine job, young Midoriya." Izuku smiles as we're going to basically time skip yet again, as nothing important goes on from then on since they defeated the villain and he didn't escape from All Might, as we're going straight to the entrance exam. But, of course, I would be too generous just to do that now. You'll have to tune in next time. If you guys enjoyed this shortish episode, leave a like and subscribe maybe, comment down below. Tell me your collective criticisms and I might change it. We'll see, won't we? I'm Hex, you're my cursed army, and I'll see you next time.